Let me walk you through 10 of the most formidable military leaders who ever lived. These are commanders whose names still echo through history, whose strategies changed warfare forever, and whose conquests reshaped entire continents. 10. Alexander of Macedon. We begin with Alexander, born in 356 BC in the Kingdom of Macedon. His father, King Philip, was assassinated when Alexander was just 20 years old. What happened next was extraordinary. This young king crushed rebellions across Greece, then turned his attention to Persia, the superpower of the ancient world. Between 334 and 331 BC, Alexander won decisive victories at Granicus, Issus, and Gaugamela. He dismantled the Persian Empire piece by piece. He marched through Egypt, where he was proclaimed pharaoh. He pushed into India, defeating King Porus at the Hydaspes River in 326 BC. After 11 years of continuous campaigning, he had conquered over 2 million square miles. He never lost a battle. Alexander died in Babylon at age 32, having built one of the largest empires in ancient history. 9. Ashoka the Great. While Alexander's empire fractured after his death, a different kind of conqueror was rising in India. Ashoka was born around 304 BC, the son of the Mauryan emperor. He fought his way to the throne, reportedly eliminating rivals in brutal succession conflicts. For 8 years, he expanded his empire aggressively. His campaign in Kalinga, around 261 BC, resulted in approximately 100,000 deaths. But something changed after Kalinga. Walking through the devastation he had caused, Ashoka converted to Buddhism and completely transformed his approach to rule. He renounced violence, banned torture and executions, built hospitals, and spread Buddhist teachings across Asia. Ashoka proved that even the most ruthless conqueror could change course and leave a legacy of peace. 8. Hannibal Barca. Now we come to Rome's greatest nightmare. Hannibal was born in 247 BC in Carthage. His father made him swear eternal hostility to Rome. By his mid-20s, Hannibal commanded Carthaginian forces in Spain. When he attacked a Roman ally, it triggered the Second Punic War. What happened next became legendary. Hannibal marched an army of about 30,000 soldiers and war elephants across the Alps, through snowstorms and treacherous mountain passes to invade Italy itself. Between 218 and 216 BC, he devastated Roman armies at Trebia, Lake Trasimene, and most catastrophically at Cannae, where he killed approximately 50,000 Roman soldiers in a single day using a double envelopment tactic that still studied in military academies. But Hannibal never marched on Rome itself. This hesitation gave Rome time to adapt. They cut off his supplies and wore him down through attrition. Eventually the war shifted back to North Africa. At Zama in 202 BC, Hannibal finally lost a major battle to Scipio Africanus. Years later, hunted by Rome, he took poison rather than face capture. He died around 183 BC, but his tactical genius influenced military strategy for centuries. 7. Julius Caesar. Caesar was born in 100 BC into a patrician Roman family that had prestige but little wealth. He rose through Roman politics by backing popular causes and forming strategic alliances. In 60 BC, he formed the first triumvirate with Pompey and Crassus, securing command of Gaul. From 58 to 50 BC, Caesar conquered most of Western Europe. He defeated the Gallic tribes, crossed into Britain, and executed brilliant sieges like Alasia, where he built fortifications in 2 directions while surrounded by enemies. When the Senate ordered him to disband his army, Caesar crossed the Rubicon River with his legions, a decision that meant civil war. He defeated Pompey and became dictator of Rome. Caesar reformed the calendar, passed laws helping common citizens, and accumulated unprecedented power. On March 15, 44 BC, senators assassinated him, stabbing him 23 times. They thought they were saving the Republic, but Caesar's death led directly to the end of republican government and the rise of the Roman Empire. 6. Khalid ibn al-Walid. Khalid was born around 592 AD in Mecca into a prominent tribal family. In more than 100 battles, he was never defeated. Initially, Khalid fought against the early Muslims. At the Battle of Uhud, he led a cavalry maneuver that nearly destroyed Muhammad's forces. But in 629 AD, Khalid converted to Buddhism and completely transformed his approach to rule. He renounced violence, banned torture and executions, built hospitals, and spread Buddhist teachings across Asia. Khalid proved that even the most ruthless conqueror could change course and leave a legacy of peace. 5. Saladin. Saladin was born in 1138 in Tikrit. Unlike many conquerors, he preferred scholarship to warfare in his youth. But when his uncle took him on military campaigns in Egypt, Saladin proved himself. By 1171, he became Sultan of Egypt, ended the Fatimid Caliphate, and unified Muslim territories in preparation for conflict with the Crusader states. His greatest victory came at the Battle of Hattin in 1187. King Guy of Jerusalem marched his Crusader army through dry terrain in summer heat. Saladin cut off their water supply and destroyed them in a devastating ambush. Jerusalem fell shortly after, but Saladin showed remarkable restraint, allowing most Christians to ransom themselves rather than slaughtering them. During the Third Crusade, Saladin faced Richard the Lionheart. They fought to a stalemate, signing a treaty in 1192 that allowed Christian pilgrims to visit Jerusalem while the city remained under Muslim control. Saladin died in 1193, having given away most of his wealth to the poor. He's remembered as a commander who combined military skill with honor and mercy. 4. Genghis Khan. Born as Temujin around 1162 near Lake Baikal, he wasn't born into royalty. When his father was poisoned, 9-year-old Temujin's family was abandoned by their tribe. He survived through cunning and toughness, eventually building a loyal following. By 1206, he had unified the Mongolian tribes and was proclaimed Genghis Khan, meaning universal ruler. The Mongol army he built was revolutionary. Elite horse archers could ride at full speed while firing with deadly accuracy. They moved in coordinated units, could cover 100 miles in a day, and struck before enemies knew they were coming. Genghis Khan mastered psychological warfare, offering surrender once, then utterly destroying cities that refused. He conquered the Tangut kingdom, smashed the Jin dynasty, and obliterated the Khwarezmian Empire. By his death in 1227, Genghis Khan had built the largest contiguous land empire in history, approximately 9 million square miles stretching from the Pacific Ocean to the Caspian Sea. His descendants continued expanding for decades after his death. 3. Subutai. If Genghis Khan was the architect, Subutai was the master builder. Born around 1775, the son of a blacksmith, Subutai rose to become Genghis Khan's most trusted general through pure military genius. He coordinated campaigns across thousands of miles simultaneously, seeing warfare as a vast strategic puzzle. His signature tactic was the feigned retreat, baiting enemies into pursuit, then surrounding and destroying them. At the Kalka River in 1223, he and General Jabe lured Russian and Cuman forces into a week-long chase, then crushed them in a devastating ambush. In 1241, while one Mongol army defeated Polish knights at Legnica, Subutai invaded Hungary, crossing the Salo River at night and surrounding the Hungarian army at Mohi, turning their camp into a slaughterhouse. Subutai commanded campaigns across Asia and Europe for decades, remaining undefeated. He retired in his 70s and died in 1248, having won more battles and conquered more territory than perhaps any general in history. 2. Timur. Born in 1336 in Transoxania, Timur came from Mongolian descent, but built his own empire. A childhood injury left him partially lame, earning him the nickname Timur the Lame, corrupted in Europe to Tamerlane. Through ruthless ambition, he rose from minor warlord to conqueror of 3 continents. Unlike Genghis Khan, who often offered surrender, Timur made examples of cities that resisted. Populations were massacred, and skulls were stacked into towers as warnings. Between 1380 and 1405, his campaigns ravaged Persia, Russia, India, and the Middle East. Moscow burned, Delhi was devastated, Baghdad, Aleppo, and Damascus fell. In 1402, Timur defeated Ottoman Sultan Bayezid I at the Battle of Ankara, capturing him alive and delaying Ottoman expansion for decades. By his death in 1405, Timur's empire stretched from the Mediterranean to India. His reign of terror was absolute, but his dynasty, the Timurids, later sparked a cultural and artistic renaissance. 1. Napoleon Bonaparte. We close with Napoleon, born in 1769 on the island of Corsica. When the French Revolution erupted, most generals were purged or executed. Napoleon seized the opportunity. He made his mark at the siege of Toulon in 1793, then saved the French government from a royalist uprising by positioning cannons in Paris streets. By 1796, he commanded the army of Italy, transforming an underfed force into a conquering juggernaut. He defeated Austria, marched to Egypt, and won stunning victories at Austerlitz and Jena. Napoleon reformed French law with the Napoleonic Code, centralized education, and built an economic system to fund his grand army. His genius was adaptability and coordination, but overextension was his downfall. The disastrous 1812 invasion of Russia shattered his forces in winter snow. In 1815, at Waterloo, his final battle, Napoleon was defeated. He died in exile in 1821. From artillery officer to emperor of France, Napoleon reshaped Europe and left military principles still studied today. These 10 commanders led armies that killed millions, conquered continents, and changed history forever. They came from different eras, different continents, and different philosophies of war. Some offered mercy, others showed none. Some built empires that lasted centuries, others left only ruins. But every single one proved that individual leadership, tactical brilliance, and sheer will could reshape the world. Their legacies, for better or worse, remain with us still.